Hello all, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Scenes with your favorite narrator, me. Before we start, I would just like to mention that this is the third episode of this series, and you can actually find the first two episodes right here on our YouTube channel. I highly recommend going and watching them after this episode. This episode is going to be another special one, as it's about a man who's widely credited with one of the most devastating pitches of all time. A pitch that, when it's thrown correctly, gives the batters the struggle of a lifetime, and when thrown wrong, the ball goes between about 400 to 500 feet into the stands. We're talking about the curveball. Once again, we're going back in time, and this time we're going all the way back to 1848 to Ware, Massachusetts. We are going to the beginning of our protagonist's life, one William Arthur Cummings, or as he's better known today as Candy. Candy Cummings was a professional baseball player who had pitched in the National Association of Professional Baseball Players and the National League. But before all that, he attended Foley Seminary in Fulton, New York from 1864 to 1866. He played for the ball team and even led the team all the way to the county championship. After graduating from Foley, Candy joined the Star Baseball Club, one of Brooklyn's best clubs, and where he pitched on the junior squad. It's a good time to mention that prior to the formal introduction of professional baseball in 1871, all baseball clubs were considered amateur at this point in time. Pitching rather well, he garnered attention from another team from Brooklyn called Excelsior. I shit you not, that was the team's name. At the young age of 17, Candy made his debut on the senior team on August 14th of 1866, pitching against another team by the name of the New York Mutuals. After the game, the Brooklyn Eagle, an editorial staff, praised him, saying, "He has only to keep on in the way he has begun, and he will one day, not so far distant, be ranked among the best pitchers of the country." 2 weeks later, he would lead his team to a 24-12 victory against a team called the Newark Eurekas. Now, most pitchers nowadays would have been immediately sent to the minors or released after giving up 12 runs. But Henry Chadwick, a sports writer in that time, praised Cummings and believed he had a bright future with Excelsior. After the induction of professional baseball in 1871, Candy was a pretty big deal as a pitcher. He compiled a 145 win to 94 loss record with a 2.42 earned run average, all while only being 5'9" and 120 pounds. Short Kings are up again. He played for 5 different teams, including the New York Mutuals, the Baltimore Canaries, the Philadelphia White Stockings, the Hartford Dark Blues, and the Cincinnati Reds. Surprisingly to a lot of people, he was only a professional ball player from 1872 to 1877. But overall, he pitched from 66 to 77. He actually also held a record in 1876, being the first pitcher to ever throw 2 complete games in one day, and both of them being wins. Now, you're probably wondering one thing. How the hell did he get the nickname Candy? Well, back in the 19th century, Candy was actually a term of endearment for a man who was good at what he did. And very clearly, William Arthur Cummings was well deserving of the name. Now, back to what we're all here for. The curveball. How did this man manage to change the game so drastically? Well, it's actually rather simple. Seashells. And not the one that Sally sells by the seashore either. Candy discovered the idea by studying the movement of seashells when they're thrown. After noticing the movement, he began to try and make a baseball move the same way, thus creating the new pitch. Cummings first used the curveball while pitching for the Excelsior Club on October 7th of 1867 against the Harvard College team. Candy would later recall, A surge of joy flooded over me that I shall never forget. I felt like shouting out that I had made a ball curve, but I said not a word, and saw many a batter at that game throw down his stick in pure disgust. Now, there's another thing you have to understand. The baseball we have today is not the one they had back then. I mean, look at the stitching on this thing. Could you imagine using this ball and then on top of it trying to make it curve? It's pure insanity. Cummings' introduction of the curveball radically changed the game for pitchers and batters alike. Of course, such an incredible change wouldn't be without someone else claiming to have invented it. One of those people being Fred Goldsmith, who actually said he gave a demonstration of the pitch and was actually covered by Henry Chadwick and the Brooklyn Eagle. However, it's been mentioned that Goldsmith's claim was not credible and the story was likely fabricated. Baseball's greatest minds in Chadwick, Harry Wright, and Albert Spalding all credited Cummings as the true inventor of the curveball. After playing organized baseball, Cummings moved to Athol, Massachusetts, where he ran and operated a paint and wallpaper shop. Pretty good way to enjoy your retirement. Unfortunately, Cummings would pass at the age of 75 in 1924 in Toledo, Ohio, and would be buried in his hometown of Ware, Massachusetts. Cummings was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939, 15 years after his passing. Thank you very much for tuning into the story of Candy Cummings and listening to me tell the story of a man who threw seashells and changed the game forever. Pitchers nowadays still throw the curveball, and some have even added their own little touch to make them more devastating. For example, the knuckle curve, a mix of the knuckleball and the curveball. Imagine trying to hit that. I love being able to do these stories for you guys and for the legacies left behind from such incredible figures of baseball's past. My name is Jay, and this has been another episode of Behind the Seams. Cheers.